Hey everybody, Tim here with today's episode of Orville, Season 2, Episode 5, All the World is Birthday Cake. I'm loving these titles for Season 2, they're great. So this is a really well done episode, and it kind of looks at how we function as a society. To just jump to the end, absolutely spoil everything, it's all about astrology. And I mean, I don't know, I'm not a believer in astrology, like not a hardcore person. I have fun with it, like I'll look it up and I'll see something online, and I realize a lot of people who don't believe in astrology will absolutely be like, oh, you can just make any sort of broad, vague phrase, and whoever reading it will turn it to make it sound about them. Like you could take, here's the signs, here's the fortune for the day. You could jumble up those fortunes and anybody reading it will just be like, oh, that does sound like me. That being said, I mean, I've encountered some amazing coincidences. My husband's a Gemini, I'm a Leo, and it turns out that they actually work pretty well together. And I've read some other things where it's like this person get together, but these two people shouldn't mix. And it's like, oh wow, it kind of does fit. But then still, there's always exceptions to the rule. I'm sure I can find somebody in this sign that I do get along with and this one that I don't. So I'm not a firm believer in it. I do think it's an interesting type of concept, just like I think anything's kind of an interesting concept. I wouldn't say astrology is not a religion by any means, but if you chalk it up to that, it has some interesting concepts to it. That being said, so we meet the new chief of security, who is another Chilean. They just replaced Alara. Seriously, that kind of frustrated me a little bit because, I mean, they didn't even try to hide it. It's almost a carbon copy. She's a little taller. That's about it. So I was really kind of disappointed that they didn't really break the mold or do anything like that. They just kind of swapped them out. Which in Deep Space Nine, that's how I felt about Dax. When we went from Jadzia to Ezri, they did some major personality changes and stuff like that, but for the most part, I was like, okay, so you went with relatively similar type, person looking. And so, I don't know, I wanted something completely different. I would have actually been okay if we'd kept Patrick Warburton's character for a few more episodes, because he was drastically different. I feel like they lost the actress, they just recasted the same character, but whatever, maybe she will be completely different. As we keep going, we'll find out. So, we find out that Kelly and Bortus's birthday are 6 days apart, so they're both kind of coming up. And at the same time, a culture has asked, is there anybody out there? And I guess it's their prime directive to answer and say, yes, we are here. And they initiate that first contact. So they get down there. Claire immediately realizes, oh, there's a lot of premature births and C-sections and stuff like that. Why? Well, it's to prevent Giliacs, who are prone to violence, stuff like that. And so in the meantime, this major dinner is going on, and I like Ed gives a speech, and he's like, I plagiarized 9 things. That's beautiful. I love how, that's the type of stuff I really like, because you can kind of tell. And they talk about no currency, which they've kind of hinted at, but this is the first time they've blatantly said, oh yeah, we don't have currency where we come from. Again, kind of mimicking Earth a little bit. And they actually go by reputation. Okay, you do what you got to do for the series, whatever. As soon as Kelly mentions it's her birthday, they arrest him, take him off to a concentration camp and all sorts of stuff, and they cut off the first contact. They're like, no, we're done. Okay, what's going on? It's the astrology signs. People born under this star are just considered violent and prone to violence, which you never see any of them doing it. In fact, other people are violent towards them before they even do anything. So again, it's really interesting. And I've known people who are super into astrology, and I've even had people just talking to me, and they're like, you're a Leo, aren't you? And I'm like, interesting, how did you know? And there's characteristics, and like I said, because I'm not so in-depth into it, I don't always pick up on them, but it's kind of fun that other people can do it. And I've had other people who are like, oh, I'm this sign, so we won't get along, and they cut off that friendship just like that. It's like, I mean, you didn't even try. So I think it's really interesting to see how other people look at this stuff. Ted Danson has a great cameo as a new admiral, and then a month goes by. Something about this series and time. Like the whole first season, even though it's like 12 episodes, is almost a year. So it's like one episode a month. So anyway, they've been orbiting the planet a month trying to save Bortus and Kelly. And this is where they realize that years ago, thousands of years ago, a star went out. And that's why they think people born under this star are unlucky and they're bad. So they basically try to find a way to reignite it, which they just fake it. They just put a fake star up. And that's enough to get Kelly and Bortus out. They'll realize it eventually, but maybe they'll be technologically advanced enough to accept it by then. But just the whole time when like this president and Ed are going back and forth, and he's like, just give me my people and we'll leave. And he's like, no, like you live amongst the stars. You should know better than anybody that these people are bad. And just the unquestionably faith is what's super annoying. Like, it's an admirable trait, but still, to just not even listen to any other opinions, like, it's really frustrating that so many people exist that live their lives that way. And I don't understand how somebody can live their life so unhappy and so sure of themselves that they won't even listen. But overall, I thought it was a great episode. I really enjoyed it. I'm curious to see those who believe in astrology, how they felt about it. Those who don't believe in astrology, how they felt about it. I could talk about this for days. So go ahead, let me know, and I'll see you guys next time for A Happy Refrain.